The first thing Yusef Hassan noticed wasn't the silence, but its completeness. Harborview Heights, usually humming with elevator chimes, distant chatter, and the city's restless pulse outside his sixth-floor window, had been vacuum-sealed into utter stillness. Then came the smell. Damp earth, forgotten rot, and an unsettling coppery tang that seeped into the plush carpet and velvet curtains of room 612. Annoyance curdled into panic. The ornate brass door handle was immovable, welded shut. His phone was a dead brick. The landline emitted a hollow drone. The panoramic harbor view was obliterated by an impenetrable swirling gray fog that pressed coldly against the glass. Climate control whirred uselessly against a pervasive, bone-deep chill. He was sealed in. Then, the sounds began. Thud, scrape, thud, scrape. Heavy, deliberate footsteps echoing down the hall with metronomic regularity, accompanied by a faint, wet dragging. Yusef pressed his ear to the door, heart hammering. The footsteps passed, receded, returned. Every 3 hours, like clockwork in a broken timepiece. Then came the knocks. Not on his door, down the hall. Bang, bang, bang. 3 sharp, jarring impacts. A pause. Then, the screaming. Pure, unadulterated terror, shrieks that clawed at Yusef's nerves, lasting only seconds before being swallowed by a heavier, more menacing silence. Then the dragging footsteps resumed. Thud, scrape, thud, scrape. Obsession drove Yusef to the people. The distorted fisheye lens offered a nightmare glimpse. It filled the view. Impossibly tall, head brushing the ceiling, broad shoulders straining a dark, shapeless garment. A glimpse of a massive hand revealed slick, wet, clay-like skin, gray and mottled, stretched over thick cords of muscle. The face was a smudged blur, but Yusef felt the crushing weight of its attention. It knocked. Bang, bang, bang. Screaming erupted closer now, room 608, then silence. The figure lingered, a monolithic shadow, before dragging itself away. Thud, scrape, thud, scrape. Horror crystallized. It was systematic. Room by room, purging. The knocks and screams marched closer, 610, then 609. The occupant of 609 fought. Desperate banging, furniture crashing. Please, dissolving into that final, familiar shriek. Silence. The heavy footsteps paused outside 609 for an agonizing minute before continuing past Yusef's door. Thud, scrape, thud, scrape. Heading away, a reprieve. But the only room left after 609 was 612. His time dissolved. Days bled into weeks, measured only by the footsteps and the gnawing agony in his gut. The minibar's tiny waters and overpriced snacks vanished first. Tap water turned brown and gritty, tasting of rust and earth. He drank it. The decorative fruit collapsed into foul mush. He gagged on liquefied black banana sludge. Hunger sharpened into agonizing cramps. His escape attempts grew frantic, then despairing. The heavy chair battered the door until wood splintered, and his shoulders screamed. But the lock held impossibly firm. The same chair shattered the window, showering the carpet and glass, revealing the fog outside was solid, cold jelly. The bathroom yielded only grime and porcelain. Vents were too small, ceiling tiles unmovable. A beautiful, decaying tomb. And decay it did. The damp smell thickened into a choking miasma. Wallpaper blistered and peeled in long, sickly strips, revealing weeping black plaster beneath. Iridescent mold pulsed across the ceiling like malignant constellations. Carpet stiffened in patches, grew spongy and fungal in others. Bed linens felt perpetually damp and sour. Lights flickered erratically, casting writhing shadows. Yusuf saw things crawling in the corners of his vision, things with too many legs, or none, vanishing when looked upon. He deteriorated alongside the room. The bathroom mirror reflected a gaunt, hollow-eyed stranger, clothes hanging loose, stained with sweat, rust, water, and filth. Sleep was stolen in terrified snatches between the thud scrape, the bang, 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 the screams. He rambled, wept, screamed until his throat bled. Reality blurred. Whispers hissed from dripping taps. Faces formed in the spreading mold. Tally marks scratched into wallpaper with glass shards became frantic, overlapping scrawls. Sanity was a threadbare rag. The knocks came for 6:11. Yesterday? The day before? The scream was agonizingly close, vibrating through the thin walls. The footsteps paused outside his door longer than ever before. Yusuf crammed himself behind the toilet, shivering, hands clamped over his ears, rocking. Thud, scrape, thud, scrape. They moved away, down the hall. But he knew it was coming back, for him. Now Yusuf Hassan crouched on the decaying carpet, back against the uselessly battered bed frame. Room 612 was a grotesque parody of luxury. Walls glistened with foul seepage. Ceiling mold pulsed in the flickering light. The stench of decay and terror was overwhelming. His body was a map of pain and tremors, his mind shattered glass. He stared at the door, the tarnished brass handle, the splintered wood. Then, the footsteps. Louder, closer. Thud, scrape, thud, scrape. They stopped outside room 612. His breath died in his raw throat. His heart battered his ribs, every muscle locked. The purge's final destination. A pause. A silence profound enough to hear his own blood skitter. The wet drip, drip, drip from the ceiling. Bang! The door shuddered. Plaster dust rained. Bang! A jagged crack splintered the wood. Bang! The brass handle began to turn. Slowly, deliberately. The lock groaned under impossible strain. The door creaked open, revealing blinding, sterile light. Yusuf recoiled from the sheer wrongness. The rot stench vanished, replaced by lemon disinfectant. The chill was gone, replaced by bland warmth. The walls were pristine, unblemished wallpaper. The ceiling, smooth white plaster, lights fully functional. The carpet was clean, plush, uniformly beige. The window was whole, revealing an ordinary overcast cityscape. The chair sat neatly under the desk, unscarred. The bed linens were crisp, white, smelling of bleach. A short, middle-aged woman in a crisp blue housekeeping uniform stood in the doorway, pushing a cleaning cart. Her expression was one of mild, professional boredom. She hummed softly. "Housekeeping," she announced flatly, stepping inside. She didn't look at the skeletal, wild-eyed wreck of a man frozen by the bed. She didn't see Yusuf Hassan at all. She simply moved with practiced efficiency. Her eyes scanned the minibar, wrappers gone, tiny bottles drained. She made a note on her pad. She checked the sparkling bathroom, taps running clear, mirror spotless. She sprayed disinfectant, wiped counters. She righted the decorative fruit bowl, now empty, and replaced it with a fresh one holding one perfect red apple and one bright yellow banana. She fluffed the pristine pillows. Yusef tried to scream, to move, but he was less than smoke in this restored reality. His weeks of terror, his struggle, his very presence were being meticulously erased. Only the mundane evidence of consumption remained. The emptied minibar, the missing fruit, easily explained, easily replaced. He felt a final searing wave of existential terror, the understanding that he was being unmade. He reached out a trembling, skeletal hand as the cleaner turned towards the door, her task nearly complete. As her gaze swept over the spot where he cowered, he simply wasn't. There was no flash, no sound. One moment, the gaunt figure of Yusef Hassan, etched with weeks of unspeakable horror, pressed against the bed frame. The next moment, the space was empty air. The cleaning lady's eyes passed over it without a flicker of recognition, registering only the clean carpet and tidy furniture. She paused at the threshold, listening. From the hallway, faint but distinct. Scrape, scrape, moving away. She didn't flinch, didn't react. She simply pulled her cart into the bright hall and gently closed the door of room 612 with a soft click. The lock snicked home. The room was perfect, immaculate, ready. The hum of the climate control was the only sound in the pristine emptiness. Outside the perfect window, the indifferent city carried on. The cleaning lady moved down the hall, her cart rattling softly. On her notepad, under room 612, she'd written, "Minibar empty, fruit bowl replenished." A mundane footnote in her daily duties. The only record of Yusef Hassan's existence. His desperate struggle, and his terrifying, unwitnessed end was the need to refill the tiny bottles of gin and vodka and replace an apple and a banana. His screams, his decay, his final silent erasure. Nothing more than an inventory adjustment. The footsteps faded further down the corridor, leaving behind a silence more absolute and horrifying than any scream. Room 612 awaited its next guest.